Good evening and welcome to the ANZCAR Abruzzi Cup. I'm JP Courier, and tonight joining me in commentary is going to be Jake Saddington. Jake, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Looking forward to being back in this commentary box to what should be a very exciting race.
100% after last week's race at Watkins Glen. We're back to the ovals with our race tonight at Dover International Speedway. This 1.6 kilometre, 1 mile circuit is definitely going to be throwing up some exciting racing. Guys aren't very far away from getting into their qualifying session. And so far, it's been a bit of a seesaw between Danny G, Jason Martin, Jason Hardigan, and Josh Mickelmore for the top spot in practice.
Yeah, and if you remember back a few weeks ago when these guys ran here at Dover earlier in the year, it was a sensational battle between Jason Hardigan and Jason Martin. And by looks of those times, which those two are separated by 0.02 of a second. So it looks like their exciting battle is going to continue again tonight.
Absolutely different day, same kind of racing. We're going to be in for some close, exciting racing tonight with this shortish track. Things are going to be very exciting. We've got 29 drivers taking to the field tonight for this 200 lap event. Lap is around about 21.7, 21.8 seconds. So yeah, the laps will be counting down really quickly.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's a very technical track, this one, because even though you got some high banking here, you can run very different lines. So it's going to open up the racing where some drivers just like to hug the bottom, and some drivers like to drift up and then come back down and treat the turns 1 and 2 as a double apex. And neither is necessarily faster than one another. One may or may not burn the tyres out a bit. So the race strategy when it comes to tyres is going to be very important in this race.
Absolutely, and like you said, that's going to be the all-important aspect tonight. Is going to be the race strategy. What are they going to do as the line heats up as well? They're going to be taking different lines and adjusting their racing to suit. Now we're getting into qualifying, so we'll have a look at the first drivers out on track and see how they go.
Yeah, you see Ed Foster, Danny G, the two of our title contenders have already left the lane. They're looking to set their times pretty early in this session.
Yeah, they're certainly not mucking around. They're getting out, they're banking a lap, and they're getting the job done.
Yeah, so far it's Ed Foster leading the championship at the moment, so he'll be looking to put his foot forward and trying to consolidate that number 1 position. We're 2 weeks away from the playoffs, and it's still very tight at the top. It is 22 points separating the top 4, with it being Foster, then Skrillex, then Mickelmore, and then Danny G. And that number 1 spot is going to be crucial to give yourself the best wiggle room in the playoffs. And Ed Foster's already gone fastest so far, 21.8, JCW 21.9 in second.
Oh, it's just had a big moment there.
And JCW has had a massive crash on the pitch straight. I think he might have just set his second time when he spun it off into the wall, trying to put the power down. I don't think he went faster in his second lap, which is why his crash, and that front end on JCW is very damaged. And so too, Billy Hickey he's also had a big crash.
Yeah, we're seeing the guys really pushing hard there. We saw Ed Foster get sideways coming out of turn 4. JCW putting the car in the wall, and Michael Skrillex now is out for his qualifying run.
He's already done a 21.8. So far, he's in third. Jason Martin's just gone second. He's done a 21.7, It's Micklemore in first though at the moment at 21.7 as well, but that is a low 7.711
Oh,
to
Michael
Martin
Skurlock.
7.22.
Sorry there, Jake. Michael Skurlock's gone and absolutely binned his second lap.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It leaves him stuck on a 21.839. He's in fourth position on that second row, probably on the outside lane. So that could hurt him at the start and give Hamish Gallagher, who's currently in fifth, if he stays fifth, that'll help. That'll be a good chance for Gallagher to sneak up into fourth place on the start.
And there we see James Robbie hit the wall coming out of turn 4. So these guys are pushing as hard, as hard as they possibly can.
Yeah, it just shows with these short track races, it's so easy just to go a little bit too heavy on the loud pedal. That's all it takes for these monsters to spin around. I think these cars on the short tracks can get close to 700, 800 horsepower, and they're very easy to spin on these short tracks.
Yeah, like you said, it's they've got to be really diligent getting the power down on these cars, and as the track progresses as well, and the tyres wear, we're going to see these cars getting more and more out of shape.
Yeah, it's got Justin Kosh at the moment. He's just completed his 2 flying laps. He might be just circulating even more at the moment just to get a bit more practice in. It's one thing. Some of these drivers will be looking to get some extra practice in at the end of this qualifying session, while others will just park it up in the pit bay and just rest up for the race. As we've got 200 laps here, it's going to take its toll on a lot of these drivers, especially if we get a few safety cars and it drags this race time out past 9:30.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at this and you say, a 1 mile, 1.6 kilometre track. How hard can that be? 200 laps. But trust me, come the end of the race, these guys are absolutely worn out.
Yeah, and it makes it even worse when it's you're in a tight battle, maybe in the pack or at the front, fighting for that lead. When the gaps are very close, it takes all that mental concentration to maintain that edge over your rivals, and it can take it out of any driver, even the professionals.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we've got the qualifying over and out. Let's have a look at the qualifying positions here. So, occupying the first spot will be Josh Micklemore, with Jason Martin in second. Third, Ed Foster. Fourth, Michael Skurlock. Fifth, Hamish Gallagher. Sixth, Norman Clark. Seventh, Neil Pearson. Stephen Williams in eighth. Jason Hardigan down in ninth. JCW rounding out the top 10. Let's get to the grid and we'll take over from there.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked by Hardigan's qualifying position. He's normally up in the top 5, so for him to be down in ninth, he's obviously made a meal of his second lap, and that could hurt him at the start. But that being said, 200 laps, and we know from experience that throughout this entire series that Jason Hardigan is often raced his way to the front. He's got a few wins already this season, and you just never know with these races. Any one of the top 10 can win it tonight.
Absolutely, these guys, anyone, like you said, anyone in the top 10 has got that chance of winning it tonight. Let's carry on with the rest of the grid there, going from 11th down. So Bradley Allison in P11, Mirko Dortnack in 12th. In 13th, we got Lachlan Urquhart, James Robbie in 14th, Devon Stove in 15th, Phil Otto in 16th, Adam Roswell 17th, Danny G in 18th, Brendan Bartlett in 19th, Darren Brumfield in 20th, Matt Hunter 21st, Tristan Koch in 22nd, 23rd Aidan Schultz, 24th, Raymond Yeager. In 25th, Riley Curtis. 26th, Billy Hickey. 27th is Gregory Harris. Kai Sloggett in 28th. And rounding out the field in 29th is Mick Wilson.
Actually, Kai Sloggett and Mick Wilson are not actually in the session at the moment, so they're actually going to miss the start. Also, driver of note is Danny G. He is way down in 18th. He was much quicker in practice than he was in his qualifying run, so he's made an absolute meal of his qualifying. Down in 18th, look to him to be one of the hard chargers in the field, and barring any incidents, he'll be the driver that will have gained the most places at the end of the race.
Yeah, these guys are going to have their work cut out for them down the back of the field.
Pace cars in.
Green flag, green flag.
Green flag, and Josh Micklemore gets a brilliant start. Jason Martin right behind him. This is exactly where these guys want to be. Let's just follow these guys for a couple of laps. We'll turn it up and listen to the sound of these engines. Great start from these guys, with Josh Micklemore leading them off, Jason Martin and Ed Foster behind, and it looks like they're quickly starting to settle down into a bit of a rhythm.
Yep, Danny G already up to 15th. Two losers at the start were two of the JP Simshed cars. Norman Clark and Jason Hardigan got massively sideways coming off a 2 on the opening lap, and they've fallen way down. Hardigan's now working his way back up. He's into 18th now after starting 9th. And Norman Clark is in 22nd, having started 6th. So those guys are the big losers so far. But it's still a long way to go.
Yeah, 100%. But that's just going to make their job even harder, as we're on board with Jason Hardigan looking at Aidan Schultz there, looking to make a move, showing the nose, but it's got nowhere to go at the moment. He's just going to shadow Aidan and see if he can make a move coming through here. Oh no! Aidan's blocked him off, and Hardigan's in the wall.
So there's still no caution yet, so
He's managed to keep the car going. And it looks like we've got another car that's had an issue, Billy Hickey.
Yeah, he just pulled over to the side of the road, so he's obviously got terminal damage and he's had to pull over and get the car towed. Still no safety car for that though, which is very, very peculiar, because normally when there's cars stationary on the circuit, that will bring out the caution.
Yeah, that is unusual. That hasn't triggered the pace car, but anyway, race on. And everything seems to be copacetic here at the front of the field, with Josh Micklemore in first, Jason Martin second, Ed Foster third, Michael Skurlock fourth, Hamish Gallagher in fifth.
And just a weird one, I just noticed Jason Martin the last couple of weeks, he's been slow to start the races, but once the drivers get about 6 to 10 laps into the race, that's when Martin starts to reel the front runners back in. So must be a thing of Jason Martin just being able to keep the tyres in better nick than everyone around him.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. He's playing that game of nursing his tyres early on, and then as everybody else starts to drop off, he just makes his move.
Bradley Allison has had a pretty good start to this race. He started outside the top 10. He's now sees himself in 8th. And he's not too far behind Pearson, who is in 7th. So it'll be something that Allison will be looking to try and pass and try and creep himself closer to that top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're on board with Michael Skurlock here, looking forward at Foster. Once again, just sitting pretty and I think biding his time and waiting for the opportunity to start to make his move.
I tell you what, Gallagher is very close to the rear of Skurlock's car. So if Skurlock can't back off, he makes a mistake, Gallagher will make no hesitation in going for that overtake to get himself into the top 4.
Absolutely, and Gallagher really has shown himself to be a force to be reckoned with this season in the ANZCAR Abruzzi Cup.
Yeah, everyone's now single file now, so
Looking down through the field here with JCW in 9th, just shadowing Bradley Allison there. Once again, waiting for an opportunity to maybe look at making a move, but he seems to be fairly comfortable where he is.
yeah, the nature of Dover is that all the drivers are pretty similar they were pretty similar in pace in practice, especially the guys that are currently in the top 10. So it's going to be tough going for these guys to make an overtake on track. Most of the overtakes are going to be under the pit stop phases. It's going to be who can save the fuel and who can save their tyres the most.
Absolutely, and we saw there at JCW make that move on Bradley Allison, but he really had to because Mirko Dortnack was catching up to him fairly quickly, and JCW just needed to create that buffer between he and Dortnack.
Danny G has got himself into 12th place now. He's gained 6 places since the start already.
He's certainly not mucking around.
Rubbing my hands together to see where he can finish at the end of the 200 if he's already got himself into the top 12.
And no arguments there by James Robbie. He's just opened the door and let Danny G through. He's definitely on a mission, definitely flying there, Danny G.
In fact, it looks like Stephen Williams has had the best lap of all the drivers so far in this race, but they're all very similar. The best lap times have been 22.2s, 22.3s, but they're currently down in the 23s now as the tyres have now starting to hurt in performance.
Yep, and that's
Martin is right up behind Micklemore now, giving him a push.
Exactly, and this is putting these guys in the box seat. They're going to draft each other and try to have a bit of a breakaway. But then again, Martin, as you said earlier on, he's nursed his tyres. His tyres are probably a little bit better now, and he's just waiting for his opportunity.
Yeah, and it's good to see Micklemore back at the front. He's struggled a bit the last few races. He's been languishing at the back of the top 10. So it's nice to see him back at the front and in contention for a race win. Early days so far, I know we're only on lap 21, 22 at the moment. But and look at this. It looks like Martin's looking down the inside, but he's sticking behind. So he's putting the pressure on his teammate. Martin might be looking to try and give Martin the lead when the timing is right.
Yeah, look, these guys are all part of the same team, but there's no love lost, and they race hard.
Yeah, it's going to be a conversation for those teammates throughout the entire race to see which of them, because they might even favour Micklemore to stay in front just to try and peak the points gap back to Ed Foster to try and give Micklemore the number 1 spot heading into the playoffs, and they might bank on Jason Martin's speed in the playoff series to grab a couple of race wins and give himself automatic qualification for the further rounds.
Absolutely, and as you can see there, Top five, their lap times are fairly consistent. Last time around, 23.8 for Micklemore, 23.9 for Martin, 23.9 for Foster, 23.9 for Skurlock, 23.9 for Gallagher.
Yeah, the fastest driver in the top 10 was Pearson on that last lap, so he was able to close in a little bit, but he's 2.5 seconds back. And on a short track, that's a long way to come back from.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if we can go down the field and see what's happening a little bit further down. We've got Phil Otto here on Devon Stowe. Having a look, just going high there, setting himself up. Oh, Devon's just clipped the wall.
It's easy to do when the cars run right on that edge. So easy just to get on the power too early, and that's all it takes for you to either lose traction or to just understeer straight.
Yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to some of the people watching us tonight. Shout out to Jamie Machado. Thanks very much for your tip there, mate. Let me know if the car sounds are any better.
And it looks like poor Billy Hickey and Aidan Schultz have both, or Billy Hickey actually only has retired from the race already. So that's him down and out after having to retire the car on the pitch straight early on.
Yeah, disappointing for Billy Hickey. He's had a couple of poor rounds there, but I'm sure he will bounce back.
And I'd say Kai Sloggett will be fuming that he hasn't been able to get into this race early. He had some good pace in practice, and it would have been interesting would have been cool to see him fighting in the top 10, as he would have made it very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. He was asking earlier on today about trying to get into the chase. He's missed a few rounds, but he's come back really strong in ANZCAR, and he's come back fairly strong in the Nationwide Tracking Systems V8 series as well.
Yeah, he's one of the drivers that do the dual duties, driving the two different V8 monsters, the American versions and the Australian versions. So it's good to see guys trying different disciplines.
Absolutely.
Sim racing.
Absolutely, and Martin's just fallen back a little bit into the hands of Foster there.
Yeah, looks like he might have made a mistake there. He lost 4 tenths on we lost 4 tenths on Micklemore 2 laps ago. So I'd say that's been a bit of a mistake. He might have just got in a little too hot, run just a bit too wide, and that's all it can take to just lose track of the car in front. But he was faster than Micklemore on the previous lap by 2 tenths, as just updates now. So he's catching back up, but he'll be trying to make sure he doesn't make that mistake again, or that'll let Foster through and give Foster a chance at the top 2, even the race win.
Yeah, 100%. And here's another picture of consistency. Ed Foster now, he knows how to drive the car and save the tyres, so he's probably been playing that long game as well, and now his tyres, if they're feeling a little bit fresher than the other guys, he'll start pushing a little bit more.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And just looking through the field, Danny G has now got himself into the top 10, so he's having a brilliant run, a nice comeback drive. Norman Clark as well, he dropped back out, and at the end of that first lap he was in 24th position. He's now in 18th place.
Yeah, great drive back by Danny G and Norman Clark. Jason Hardigan, on the other hand, being involved in somebody else's incident, that's hurt him a little bit. He's driving around with damage now, so he's going to have a very long night tonight.
Yeah, I think he's about to be lapped if he hasn't hasn't been so already. So yeah, Hardigan will be spewing those early incidents that he's had, and it's going to be a long way back. He's got to try and keep himself the lead car on that. That'll be one lap down, so when the safety car comes out, he can get the lucky dog and come back through.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing how the fortunes change in the ANZCAR series last week. Jason Hardigan was our race winner at Watkins Glen. But this week he is having all sorts of bad luck.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like what happened to Marcus Ambrose in his NASCAR Cup career back in the late 2000s, early 2010s.
Yeah, and as we look down here, looking at Devon Stove coming under pressure from Raymond Yeager here. Oh, he's just disappeared, so I don't know what's happened there.
See, look, another big mover in the field, Riley Curtis, he's just passed Norman Clark. He's got himself in the 16th place. He started down in 25th, and he did this last week as well at Watkins Glen, where he seems to qualify poorly, but when he gets into a race situation, that's when he switches on and he's able to take advantage of other drivers' mistakes and can drive very consistently, and he seems to get himself much higher up than where he starts.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure if he qualified for this one tonight, but you're absolutely spot on. He's been driving consistently and smoothly, and he's just picking these guys off one at a time and edging his way through the field.
And Danny G is now into 9th place, so he's gained another place. He just passed Dortonac a couple of laps ago, and he's now closing in behind JCW, and I would guarantee that Danny G will pass JCW within the next couple of laps.
Danny G is looking all kinds of racy, although Danny G's last lap was a 24.22 as opposed to a 24.25 from JCW, so JCW's not going to make it easy for him.
It won't make it easy, but gee, Danny G's got some really good pace.
Yeah, he's definitely got the eyes on. And there you go. He makes that inside move. He just makes that look so easy.
Yeah, he's got that car on rails at the moment. His car's looking so much better than everyone else in the field. And I tell you what, just watching the leaders, Jason Martin and Ed Foster have been balked by traffic that's really hurt Jason Martin and has allowed Ed Foster to close in within a couple of tenths, which is not what Jason Martin wants, and he adds that pressure, and now Martin needs to put his foot down and try and catch back up to Micklemore and increase that gap to Foster.
Yeah, you can see that Martin's looking like he's starting to work a little bit harder to try to get a gap on Foster.
But I've been quite surprised how tame the start has been. I thought for sure there'd be a few incidents as drivers try and jockey for position, but I guess that just shows the quality of the field, where they just know where to place the car all the time.
And that's exactly right, and it is definitely the quality of the driving, quality of the field here. These guys have now been racing with each other for most of the season. They're really getting more and more comfortable with each other as every week goes by, and it really does reflect in their racing.
Yeah, exactly. Danny G's now creeping up behind the back of Stephen Williams, and that could be a move that's on the cards in the next 10 laps. Didn't quite research how much these guys can travel on fuel, but you'd imagine they could be getting close to a pit stop.
Yeah, look, I mean, with their lap times sort of coming down, we're at the 48 lap mark there. Yeah, you would think we're not very far away from a stop.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, if these guys pit onto fresh tyres now, they'll be running about 2 to 3 seconds faster than what they currently are. The tyres sort of stabilised a bit. They've been running in the 24s for the past few laps, so I think it's going to be a little bit before they drop down to the 25s. When they start getting down to 25s, 26s, then that's the point where they'll be definitely looking to try and make a pit stop.
Yeah, absolutely. But as it stands, look here, Jason Martin has been able to get in front of Micklemore, and I don't know what's happened there. Micklemore must have had a moment because he's fallen right into the hands of Foster.
Yeah, he might have had a bit of an incident with some lapped traffic. Not quite sure what has happened there.
And that's the thing with the stock car racing, is the lap traffic does not have to get out of your way. It's game on for them, and Foster is now making a move on Micklemore.
Actually, maybe Micklemore's tyres have dropped off. I mean, Ed Foster's just passed really easily on Micklemore, and now Skurlock could be fancying his chances. There's a car in the wall.
That was a car in the wall, one of the back markers.
Yeah, I think that was Adam Rosell. He tried to give room to the leaders coming through, and he's given a bit too much room.
Yeah, Micklemore's last lap was a 25-1 as opposed to 24-1 by Foster. So, yeah, something must have happened there. And like you said, maybe he fell into the hands of some lap traffic.
He might have just nudged a wall or something and upset the aero balance of the car. Not entirely sure what's going on, but I tell you what, Michael Skurlock is going to be fancying his chances. In fact, Skurlock, I don't know what's happened to these two guys, because Neil Pearson has absolutely flied past the pair of them a couple of laps ago. Because it's Pearson in third, when I was expecting it to be Michael Skurlock that would overtake Micklemore for third.
Yeah, that's a really interesting turn of event. Pearson with a 24-1 the last lap, so he's not that much faster, but fast enough to be able to get around those guys. And Skurlock now is looking to make a move on Micklemore and gets the job done.
Yeah, that's been waiting to happen for about 5 to 10 laps now. Micklemore is really dropping off, and I reckon his tyres have gone past it, and he'll be He wants a pace car now, so that he can come in and get a free pit stop.
Yeah.
Once you pit around here, the lap is so short that you can lose 1 or 2 laps easy under green flag running. And if you get on the wrong side of the caution, then that's going to hurt you big time.
Absolutely, yeah. Like you said, he's going to be looking for a caution. Otherwise, we might be seeing Micklemore blink first.
Yeah, but it's also one of the things where if you're JCW, Dortnack or Coejo, just might be worth just pitting now. You might be chancing you being caught out by a pace car, but the benefit could be that you could leapfrog the guys in front, and that could be a potential race-winning move.
Absolutely will. From where they are, they really don't have much to lose, and sometimes it's worth rolling the dice and taking that kind of a chance.
Yeah, exactly. I know a lot of drivers that would sell their own grandmas to get a race win. So it's got to be something that these guys consider. There's a green car pulling off. I didn't quite see what number that was.
I think we're looking at Bradley Allison there going into the pits. Yep, Bradley Allison is in the pits now.
Yeah, so he's the second car a lap down. So either he's got damage or he's doing what we've been saying. He's coming to pit now, get some fresh tyres, and he might be able to leapfrog a few of the drivers that he's racing for position.
Absolutely.
But he's got to hope that there's no pace car for another 50 laps.
Yep. And look at this, Ed Foster has quietly been making up room on Jason Martin.
Yeah, those guys, for this entire race, they were running similar lap times. And they seem to drive the circuit the same way. I remember that being the case last time out when they raced early in the year at Dover. So it's going to be... I don't think Foster quite has the car speed to pass Jason Martin. But if Foster can pit at the right time, that's going to be his chance to leapfrog Martin.
That's the thing. It seems as though Martin's able to turn it on every time Foster starts getting a little bit closer. He's able to sort of take out that extra 1 or 2 tenths of a second on Foster and just eke that gap out again.
Yeah, and that gap is going to ebb and flow depending on the traffic. So sometimes you can get a good run of traffic and sometimes you can get held up in the middle of a corner and it really upsets you. So that's probably where you'll start to see the gaps come in and out. And look at that, the gap has dropped out by over a second now. So I reckon Foster's been held up quite badly by the lap traffic. And Danny G's got himself into the top 5. So he's, from starting 18th, he's gained 13 places to now be 5th.
Yeah, Danny G's really on a charge, and we saw Ed Foster there open the door for one of the lap cars that had pitted with fresh tyres just to let him go past, and that's obviously slowed him down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So that would have been Allison, I guess. He's dropped 3 laps with that pit stop. But you'll expect him to claw it back. There's a few guys at the back that have spun out. Skurlock is slow. And he's
yellow flag's out.
And that's exactly what Bradley Allison did not want. Michael Skurlock. We've got to see what happened with him.
Let's see what happened here.
But
he's all on his own.
Loose and slow at turn 2.
Just took the high line there and maybe got out on the marbles, and that was all it needed. Just watching him here, it looks like...
Yeah, he got out in the grey. There's no grip out there because all the cars run low. So he's been the Mr. Courteous driver, and it's come to hurt him.
He has managed to keep it off the wall.
And no one was able to hit him, so that's lucky for Skurlock.
Absolutely, and now we see Martin and Foster in the pits. So this is going to be the real race here.
Yeah, Phil Otto's the man who will get the lucky dog. He's the first car 1 lap down.
We'll see if we can get their transition through the pit lane. Greetings to all of our viewers. Alex, how you going, mate? Great to see you viewing.
There's a battle in the pit stops now. Who can get out in front? Jason Martin or Ed Foster? They're both launched at the same time. It's head to head, and Martin, it looks like just got ahead. That was so close on the pit exit. I thought for a second, because Ed Foster was able to jump out of his pit box just before Jason Martin left his, but because Martin's at the front of the queue at the pit lane, that's what managed to get Martin out ahead of Foster.
Both of them had exactly the same transition time through the pits, a 53.6 for both Martin and Foster. Pearson was a 54, Danny G a 53.4, and Williams a 53 flat. And looking further down, JCW a 52.8 with his pit transition.
Yeah, he's jumped about 3 or 4 places. Both JCW and Urquijo, the 2 JP Simshed boys, they were 9th and 10th when the pace car came out. They're now in 6th and 7th at the moment. Looks like it's updated with Stephen Williamson he's just jumped ahead of him. But they've done a brilliant job in the pit stops to be able to optimise that and get themselves into a good position.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Skerlock is now come out of the pits in 10th, so he's got a brand new car. He'll be very racy when the pace car comes back in.
Yeah, and look at this, Danny G in 4th. It's made up 14 spots, and you know he's going to be absolutely gunning for these guys at the restart. Shout out to Alex there saying he's going good, missing racing tonight, so have to settle for watching. Hope you're enjoying the broadcast, mate.
Now, I'm very interested to see if Hardigan, Curtis and Norman Clark were able to get their lap back. Because that could open the race wide open if they have. And no, Hardigan's back in the pits.
He's most likely going back in for some repairs under safety car.
Yeah, so he hasn't been able to get his lap back. So I thought for a second he might have been able to sneak that lap back, but alas, that hasn't eventuated.
Yeah, that's a shame. I know Jason will be kicking himself, but still a credit to him just carrying on there and getting those laps under his belt and getting those points in the bag as well.
And something's happened to Gallagher before that pace car came out, because he was up in the top 10 and he's now one lap down. So I wonder if he made a green flag pit stop just before the pace car came out, and that's what's really hurt him.
It's quite possible that's exactly what happened.
Because there's a couple of cars in front. Okay, there's a Brumfield. So yeah, cars have been left through now. So that's Brumfield and Gallagher have been waved around. So they might be able to get themselves back on that lead lap. Which they'll be stoked about.
And we'll see Norman Clark there. He'll be able to get himself back on the lead lap as well. And we look like we're getting ready to go to a restart.
Yep, they've followed up 2x2. Oh, someone hit the wall there. One of the blue cars at the back of the field came around, exited turn 2 very hot and has hit the wall big time. So he's going to have a lot of damage on that car. I'll try to see who that was.
Now we know that...
It's 91 of Darren Brumfield. He's in 21st at the place at the moment. He got way too eager, keen to catch the back of the queue, and he's hit the wall quite heavily.
And there we go. Jason Martin gets a great start again. Ed Foster does fairly well. Neil Pearson is coming under attack by Danny G on the high side. I don't know if that's going to work. Danny G slots in behind Pearson now. And it's business as usual with Martin taking a good start there and breaking out a little bit of a lead straight at the beginning.
Yeah, Martin really loves his place, he must do, because he does really well, especially on these restarts. And he's already pulled out to almost a half a second lead already. But Foster will be able to close that up. Martin and Foster seem to be quite even. Maybe a slight edge to Martin. And Danny G behind Pearson will be looking to get through and try and put some pressure on Foster.
Well, all of these guys know that they're not going to be able to possibly run their normal game plan. They're going to have to run at least 9/10 because Pearson's going to be gunning for Foster. Danny G is definitely all over Pearson, and Foster's not going to want to let Jason Martin get too much of a lead.
Yeah, very exciting at the moment. JCW is right behind Stephen Williams. He seemed to lose a bit coming into turn 3. Starting to steady out throughout the field. Pearson's getting close to Foster, but I think it's going to be single file for a while to come in the top 5.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking these guys are going to maybe hold station for a little while, let things start to equalise, and then start to push once they see the driver in front of them maybe sort of make a mistake or two, or if they feel that their tyres are starting to go off a little early.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to see whether these guys will be able to make it to the end from here. It could be interesting where I'm not quite sure where they were in fuel terms when they pitted. So they may need another stop, or if some drivers are very light on the throttle, they might be able to save enough fuel to get to the end from here, but I don't think that's going to be a viable option because you'll lose too much time.
That's the thing. They're really going to have to. The guys at the front are going to have to push. They're going to want to at least keep that, if not build that lead up. The guys behind them, of course, they'll be able to have the advantage of a little bit of fuel saving with the draft. But and here we see Phil Otto just get moved on by Riley Curtis.
Something must have happened at the restart because Mickelmore, Curtis, Otto and Clark have all lost significant amounts of time on that restart.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Mickelmore down in 10th there. His last lap of 23.3 as opposed to 22.8 from Jason Martin, and that just goes to show the advantage of being in clear air.
Yeah, Mickelmore he's spewing that he wasn't able to maintain that pace he had at the end of that second stint, because that's put him down in 11th place. He's behind Michael Skurlock, and that's going to be a tough time to claw back the lost time.
Yeah, it's going to be a big ask for him, but these guys really know how to pedal these cars, so there's still quite a bit of racing to go. There's anything that can happen from here on in.
Yeah, one battle I'm intrigued about is the battle between Hamish Gallagher and Jason Hardigan. Although on paper it is the battle for 15th and 16th, but what it actually is the battle for the lucky dog. If another pace car comes out, whoever's in that 15th spot is going to receive that lucky dog. That'll see them get their lap back and contend for a top 10 finish.
Yeah, you've hit the nail right on the head there. That's exactly where they're going to want to be. Looks at this stage that Hamish Gallagher's got that locked away, and we're seeing Riley Curtis starting to put some pressure on Jason Hardigan here. Hardigan's gone in a couple of times to get some repairs done, but I just don't think that his car is at optimal at all. And here we see Raymond Yeager looking down the inside of Riley Curtis there, making the move stick. Although Riley certainly doesn't make it easy for him, but he hangs Riley up on the high side and he gets through.
And just back on that early point with the damage to Hardigan's car, it's got to be noted, a reminder that this series does not have any fast repairs. Some series run one fast repair to help cars stay in the race if they get hurt early on. But this series, there are no fast repairs, so it's up to the drivers to make sure that you stay clean and don't hit anything. Because as soon as you hit anything, especially these cup cars where you may not think it, but they are aero dependent, and as soon as you damage the aero on the car, that's where your race is essentially over, and it's a battle for the entire race just to get the thing home.
100%, Jake. I mean, with these sorts of cars, even 0.2 of a second, if you're losing 0.2 of a second a lap on a lap that takes 21 seconds, by the end of the race, you are going to be hurting. It's going to see you down the back of the field. And we're watching here Neil Pearson having a look on Ed Foster and making that move easy on Foster. I'm just wondering whether Foster's just nursing his tyres and waiting to make that move again.
Yeah, that could be the case. We saw that in the first stint where it was Micklemore that Foster was able to let lead, and then at the end of that stint, that's where Foster and Jason Martin made their big gains.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of discipline when you've got guys as fast as Martin Pearson and Danny G around you to sort of maintain those laps and keep your tyres and try to get that have that extra edge when the time comes further on into the stint.
Yeah, and that's exactly why Ed Foster is leader of the points at the moment, just by being the most consistent driver in the field. I mean, Jason Martin's won a lot of races, but he's down in 5th in the points because he's had those bad races, and that can hurt you in a championship run.
100%. I mean, everybody wants to win races, but it's consistency that really counts. And if you can finish there or thereabouts at the end of the race, you're just going to keep grabbing more and more points, and that's what Foster has done.
Yeah, I guess drivers like Jason Martin and Jason Hardigan will take solace in the fact that even though they've won races and then have bad ones, when it comes to playoff time, that's where it's the race winners that get rewarded the most.
Yeah, absolutely. Although with this kind of racing, they sort of figure that if you're in the top 10, that's pretty good going. So most of the guys, when they're finishing in that top 10, they're pretty happy with their performance. But everybody wants to win, and there's no substitute for the number one spot.
Well, one guy that's actually showed some surprising pace around here is that Lachlan Urquijo. He's often down most of the series, bar 1 or 2 races. He's been down in, say, the 15th to 20th position, and last week he was outside the top 20. But this week, he's actually been able to get himself into the top 10, and that's on pure pace. That's not just on strategy.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Lachlan is the rookie of the JP Simshed team. This is his first full season in ANZCAR in Cup car racing. He's had a little bit of bad luck in the last few rounds, but this round, like you said, he's being able to get to 8th spot on pure pace alone. He's made five spots, and I have a feeling that he's sort of making sure that he's trying to stay out of trouble. So if he feels that somebody is faster, he's just going to let them go, race his own race, and try to finish as high up as he can.
Well, that's exactly right, especially with playoffs just around the corner. He's not in playoff contention, but especially his teammates, Ed Foster, JCW, Jason Hardigan, and even Norman Clark are up there vying for a spot in the playoffs. So he'll be staying out of his teammates' way and making sure that they can build enough points so that they can qualify and get us high up in the playoff order to give themselves a better chance of moving on to the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. And we're now watching Danny G starting to line Ed Foster up. Their lap times are almost identical as well, but it just seems that Danny G's got that little bit extra in the bag, and he's just waiting for his opportunity to get close enough and make a move on Foster.
Yeah, we've seen, I mean, Danny G it still shakes my head. He started in 18th place and he's now in 4th. And I'll expect him to move into 3rd place in a few laps' time if he can find an opening to Foster.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about. It's going to be about finding that gap, putting a bit of pressure on Foster and seeing if you can make him make a little mistake, which is going to be pretty hard to do with somebody of Foster's calibre. But if anyone can, Danny G's the man that's going to be able to do it. And we see it week in, week out. It's usually these two fighting together. We're either seeing Danny G behind Ed Foster or the other way around, Ed Foster behind Danny G.
Yeah, but I reckon Ed Foster probably won't be too unhappy if Danny G does get past. I mean, yes, Danny G's probably is only 22 points behind, but it's not that many points difference between third and fourth in the points tally. I think it's only about 1 or 2 points, if that. So yeah, it might just be worth Ed Foster just let Danny G go through, because the guys in second and third in the championship, Michael Skurlock and Josh Mickelmore, they're well down the order. They're in 10th and 11th place.
Yep. And
they're not even, relative to the size of the track, they're not even close to 9th place at the moment. So it could be, well, actually Skurlock's just caught back to 9th, so shouldn't speak too soon. But it is the fact that Skurlock and Mickelmore are down in 10th and 11th place, which Ed Foster will be over the moon with, as that increases the buffer to second and third in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And there we saw Danny G make his move on Foster. Foster was arguing the territory for a while, but Danny G just held Foster up nice and high and was able to make that move stick. And now they've got traffic to contend with. That's going to be maybe something else that plays into Danny G's hands.
Yeah, but also the guys that are being lapped have just got to make sure they don't drift too wide and hit the wall, because that's when you make your day. It's already bad enough going one lap down, but it gets even worse when you go one lap down and you start having damage to deal with on your car as well.
Yeah, that then brings all sorts of troubles to their race and just makes it even harder again for them.
Yeah, exactly right. Still
get the feeling though that Foster is playing to a bit of a plan here. Lap times aren't that far away from Danny G or Jason Martin, although Danny G just done a 23.9, Foster a 24.10.
Yes, he was the slowest car of the top four, but yeah, he'll just be looking to just pound the laps out. He's got a gap to fifth place, Stephen Williams. Stephen Williams is actually doing a brilliant job this race. He started in 8th, he's now in 5th. He's gained places, especially with Josh Mickelmore, Jason Hardigan, and Hamish Gallagher all striking trouble outside the top 10, and Michael Skurlock as well. So he's taken advantage of those guys' woes to get himself in the top 5, which he'll see as a confidence booster heading into playoff time.
Absolutely, and we're sitting here with James Robbie looking back towards Michael Skurlock in 11th place, just shadowing James Robbie, waiting for an opportunity to maybe make a move as well.
Yeah, just wondering if Skurlock does have a bit of damage, because he hasn't made the progress that we sort of expected. We saw him go wide and have a spin, but it didn't look like he hit anything, so I'm a bit surprised that he hasn't been able to make the moves like what Danny G has been able to do this race.
Michael Skurlock's a little bit of a late bloomer sometimes. You'll see him sort of languishing and you'll almost cat him out, and then with 20 or 30 laps to go, all of a sudden he'll start to take off and make grounds.
Yeah, and of course Skurlock had a brilliant run at Watkins Glen last week, so he would have carried a lot of confidence into tonight's racing, but I get the feeling that his confidence might have just waned a little bit during this race. He just hasn't seemed to just quite be on it as well as he was last week.
Yeah, maybe this track just isn't in his comfort zone, and that incident that he had might have put him off, and he's decided to play the safe game.
Yeah, exactly. He's second in the points, so he doesn't want to look. He doesn't want to drop out of the top four. Although he'll be getting close now, with Danny G starting to creep up towards the win. Danny G probably may miss out on bonus points unless he can sneak a run at the head of the field come the end of the race.
Now, this also could be part of the Mitch Motorsport plan. I know that these guys race for their own wins, but they, with Danny G's pace, if he can get past Neil Pearson, they might move him to the head of the field to consolidate some points for him and get all of these guys in a great position for the playoffs.
Yeah, and that would be why probably that Micklemore held the lead for so long, just to try and give him at least a good shot at getting the points for most laps led. Although with his pace falling off as it did, that's probably going to give those bonus points to Jason Martin.
Now we're on board with Steve Williams here. JCW is catching up to him. Last lap, Williams did a 24.1, 24.2 for JCW. But it does seem that JCW just looks a little bit more settled there.
Yeah, it just would be a bit more experience for JCW when it comes to the oval side. Maybe for Stephen Williams, I'm not quite sure on the history of Stephen Williams. But it could just be JCW being more consistent than Williams. So, although the pace may, even though Williams might be able to stretch it out over 2 laps, he might just make a critical mistake that lets JCW claw back up.
100%. And here we see Danny G on the back of Neil Pearson's. I think that we're going to see a move very soon.
Yeah, Danny G's car's he's been quite comfortably the fastest car over a race stint. Not necessarily in one lap pace. That goes to Stephen Williams, which sort of goes to what we've been saying about Williams, where he puts in one flying lap and then he has a couple of slow ones that allows his competitors to catch up.
It just looks like Danny G's car's just been more settled than anybody else tonight. I mean, his car looks good. The back end doesn't seem to be stepping out. The car looks to be tracking really nicely. He's about to make a move on Neil Pearson here, and the car's just gone down off the track there. Not sure who that was. Doesn't look like he's hit anything.
And we're staying green, so
No.
Obviously the officials haven't viewed that to be a hazard.
No, it didn't look like he hit anything. It looked like he just ricocheted off the top of the wall there and headed down to the track, but it looked to me like he was able to regain control of his car. And while all of that was going on, Danny G just made that move on Neil Pearson, and now he's just starting to walk away.
Yeah, and then now Danny G's got his sights on Jason Martin, and if you can get enough of a gap on Pearson, then that could put into place where the Mitch Motorsport guys will manipulate a way for Danny G to lead a couple of laps, and then they might give the place back to Jason Martin, and then they'll race. They can race then for the race win between the pair of them.
100%, and we're still seeing this battle going on between JCW and Steve Williams here. JCW's got the gap pegged back to about 2-3 tenths of a second, but Steve Williams is doing a great job staying out there and keeping JCW behind him.
Yeah, I'm looking a bit further back. The battle for 9th place between Robbie and Skurlock. Skurlock's car looks a lot more settled than Robbie, but for whatever reason, Skurlock just can't quite get a run on Robbie down the straights. He's starting to creep a bit closer now, so he's within range where he can slingshot pass. But it just seems like Robbie just has better drive out of turn 2 than what Skurlock has. Maybe is a bit of aero damage to Skurlock's car. He might have just bumped into the back of someone earlier in the race.
Yeah, well, let's have a look and see if we can at least have a look at the front of his car from James Robbie. See if there's anything going on there.
I don't see anything on either Robbie or Skurlock's car, which is bizarre, because I don't know why else it is that Robbie seems to be able to streak away down the straights compared to Skurlock.
It could just be the magic of iRacing there, showing no damage where there might be some. But yeah, you're right. Robbie seems to be a little bit have that little bit of an edge over Skurlock. Although, like I said, Skurlock could be buying his time and waiting to make his move, just sitting behind Robbie there, maybe saving a bit of fuel. So for his last stop, he won't have to put as much fuel, and he'll be able to go out and go as hard as he possibly can.
Yeah, I just don't know how long you would be willing to just sit and buy. They've already dropped out to 13 seconds behind Jason Martin now. Robbie's actually lost it, and that's actually allowed Skurlock to get through now. So it was a massive mistake from Robbie. He just lit the rears up, and that was all Skurlock needed as an invitation to get by.
Yeah, and he would have seen that and just said, know exactly where to go here, and just motored on past him.
But Josh Mickelmore, he's just baffling me. You know, he had such good car speed, but it just has not translated into a good race car. And he's just letting cars through now. I think some guys have pitted, and that's what Mickelmore's just letting through now.
Yeah, well, we've got Jason Hardigan showing up with 2 pit stops there, but one of those probably was for repairs under the safety car.
Yeah, both Hardigan's pit stops were under the paced car. I don't think Hardigan wants to necessarily give up any.
And Neil Pearson's in.
Because Hardigan and Gallagher and Otto are all within a chance. They all have a chance to get back onto the lead lap. They're a bit spaced out between them. And that's a big call for Pearson to come in now. He's banking on there not being any pace cars for the rest of the race. But we saw earlier in the race when we saw cars like Bradley Allison come in and pit from 10th place, come and do that pit stop, and then a couple laps later the pace car came out, and it has absolutely ruined Allison's race, because he just made a pit stop a few laps ago, so he's 6 laps down now. So he's the one that's made 2 green flag pit stops, and that's lost him 6 laps compared to Jason Martin, who made a pit stop under yellows.
Yeah, that definitely would have hurt him pitting under green. And Jason Martin now blinks and comes in for his stop. So expect to see the others follow the next lap.
Yeah, and Skurlock, after being released from Robbie, has now crept up the back, and he's actually overtaken now Coelho. And so now Skurlock is into 6th place on the track. That's of course counting Martin, who's pitted.
Danny G's in now, and Ed Foster's followed.
So Skurlock was the fastest driver on that previous lap, and that might have been the strategy call that Skurlock is playing, where he was just conserving the fuel and tyres to give himself a better chance that if a pace car comes out now, Skurlock is in the best position to get a result out of it.
He really is, but it's a kind of a catch-22 when you've got these guys these front runners that have pitted, they're going to be coming out on fresh rubber, so they're going to set some blistering times for the next few laps. Do you stay out and hope for a safety car, or do you cover them off and then use your pace to get through the traffic and maybe try to get up to these guys?
Yeah, well, that's the thing where with the guys that are staying out, they're desperate for a pace car before they run out of fuel in the tank.
100%. And Skurlock now is going to be held up by traffic.
Yeah, he's trying to put the foot down now. He wants to get by these cars in front and try and give himself a good chance he wants to get in front of these guys and lead the field, so that when the pace car does, if it comes out, Skurlock is in the best position to lead the field for the final round of pit stops.
Absolutely. And you saw there JCW coming out of the pits, and just with those that fresh rubber was just able to walk away from these guys and just open up a gap straight away. And now we've got Lachlan that's come out of the pits, and he's doing the same thing. He's just monstering Skurlock, and he is gone. So
yeah, but those guys are still one lap down, so they've got to do that again to get their lap back. Skurlock could be hanging on for dear life, and he's hoping for a pace car. That, by the looks of the way the race is run, it doesn't look like the pace car is going to come.
Well, this is usually the time, if we're going to see a pace car, it's around about this time of the race where people start getting mistakes. They start getting close to pit stops. Their cars are starting to get really loose, and we've got a crash.
Right on cue.
And it looks like that was
Riley Curtis, I think. Yeah, he's facing backwards on the backstretch. He's got massive damage to the right rear. He spun right. Good thing the safety car, the pace car, is cars can drive through it. Otherwise, there would have been an almighty crash between Curtis and the safety car. So I'm just having a look at the replay now to see what happened to Riley Curtis, and he's just lost it big time exiting turn 2, and he's hit the wall big time.
And this is the call that we were making. This is the call. This is probably played right into the hands of Michael Skurlock.
Well, that's exactly right. He is pretty much lead of the field. All the other drivers will probably... it looks like they're going to get their lap back. But Skurlock is on the freshest tyres. And he's going to... And that means at the end of the race, Skurlock will be able to set faster lap times than Martin. And I reckon this could have also played into Hartigan's hands. Because when they crossed the control line, Hartigan is ahead of Martin, which means Hartigan will pit under the yellow, and he'll be on the same lap as Jason Martin.
Yeah, this is definitely going to work in their favour.
Yeah, same with Bartlett as well. He'll be able to get a lap back. I think Bartlett is down. He's down in 19th, so he's one lap behind the leaders. But he's one out compared to the likes of Allison and Brumfield and Kosh. And that's Gallagher in the pits as well. Gallagher's got massive damage to the right rear. He's hit the wall. He's either been hit the wall or been hit by a driver quite severely.
And this is a turning fortune of racing, folks. Gallagher was looking so strong, and now he's in with damage. Same as Riley Curtis was looking really strong, and that spin has just cost him big time.
Yeah, see, I'm just looking at Hardigan's car. He's got front left damage that he sustained early in the race. So that's what's hurting his speed. Gallagher's speed is going to be hurt by that right rear damage. So all the cars that are in the pit seem to have some bits of damage here and there. I'm just going to see. I think Hardigan's going to be able to stay on the same lap as Jason Martin. And actually, Jason Martin's ahead of Skurlock on the road, so I think Martin's actually going to get waved through. Same with, well, Mickelmore is one lap down, so he's going to get waved through as well.
So which is going to put Skurlock as our effective race leader.
And Hardigan's back in the pits as well, so he must have more damage.
Yeah, well, he's been racing the entire time with damage. I think he's been in the 23, 24s when everybody else has been in the 22s. So that's really hurt him.
Yeah, so that's why Hardigan hasn't been able to get waved by to get back on the lead lap by doing the multiple pit stops. That's what it's really hurt him. He's in 12th place now, so he's actually one position behind Urquijo. But of course, he'll be one lap behind Urquijo. So it doesn't look likely for that to be a positional change anytime soon. But you never know with Urquijo. Perhaps he might end up slowing down at the back end of this race and allow for Hardigan to catch and pass him.
Yeah, that's it's really going to depend as to what the points are going to allow at this race. If it's going to give Urquijo the possibility of making it to the playoffs, well then he might hold station. But if not, he might just let Hardigan go by to make sure that he does make it to the playoffs.
I'm just looking. Urquijo is 19th in the points at the moment, but he's about 75 points behind JCW in 15th. I'm not sure if it's a top 15 or top 16 playoff, as these drivers are now under green flag now. Oh no, sorry. I was looking at Danny G. It looked like he'd floored it, but of course those guys have been waved through. So those guys are now back on the lead lap, and they will fight through the traffic to try and fight for the race win and try and pass Michael Skurlock, whose strategy game has been absolutely brilliant this race.
Yeah, he's just found himself at the right place at the right time, made the perfect call to stay out, and that's given him a brilliant buffer on everyone else, and he starts the race. And I think we're going to see Michael Skurlock now pushing as hard as he can to just get that buffer between himself. And at the moment, it's showing Hamish Gallagher in second. But
yeah, well, that's exactly right. Gallagher, because Gallagher stayed out long. Same with Hardigan. That's why I was expecting Hardigan to get his lap back. But of course, Hardigan came back into the pits to repair damage, which is why Hardigan is back one lap down.
So this has really played into Hamish Gallagher's hands, and he'll be pushing hard as well. And have a look at this. Michael Skurlock has checked out with a 4.4 second lead.
Yeah, but don't forget with Hamish Gallagher too that he had right rear damage. It looks like it's been fixed for the most part. The panel beaters have been at that rear wing, but it is still got a bit of a bend to it, so he's going to be hurt for straight line speed. Jason Martin's got a couple of back markers between him and Gallagher, but as soon as Martin's able to clear those back markers, which are Rousel, Hartigan and Jaeger, then that'll allow Martin to close up and most likely pass Gallagher.
Well, Gallagher's last lap wasn't too bad at 22.41 as opposed to Skurlock with a 22.48. Well, let's see here. 22.36. So I think Gallagher's okay.
Yeah, so the panel beaters, well, the mechanics have actually been able to do a brilliant job with the hammers just to flatten out that rear wing as much as they can. Buff
Absolutely.
out that rear bumper, and has got that car back to being brilliantly aero-wise.
Got those tin snips out and managed to straighten out those bent panels. But although nowadays they're carbon fibre panels, I think. But still, Gallagher's on a charge. Last lap they're a 22.3. Martin's a 22.6. Danny G at 22.9. So these guys at the front are trying to open up as big a gap as they can. Although Michael Skurlock did a 22.8. So of the lead runners at the moment, Hamish Gallagher is the one with the pace.
Yeah, I think Skurlock is just managing the pace. He's got a 3-second gap to Gallagher. Gallagher is going flat out. He's cleared the traffic and he's gone. Jason Martin's still got another car to pass, and then he'll be free of the traffic. Martin's still got Raymond Jaeger in front of him. That'll be hurting Martin, just trying to be able to get by, because even though it's they don't have much error, it's still enough to cause a wake that means that Martin can't quite go as quick as he would like.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've probably touched on something here. If Hamish Gallagher is pushing as hard as he can, and like you said, Michael Skurlock is just needs to manage that lead, and towards the tail end of the race, he can just hold out with better tyres. We might find Hamish Gallagher burning his tyres up a little bit too early, which will allow Jason Martin and Danny G to get right up on him again.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this is is it going to be good for Skurlock's bid to try and take first place in the points? Skurlock was able to overtake Micklemore with his great run at Watkins Glen. Micklemore is under threat to lose third place in the standings with Danny G running as well as he is. So Micklemore's going to want to hope that his late season form is not going to carry through to the playoffs.
Yeah, and as we're watching here, we're watching Ed Foster on Neil Pearson's. It looks like Ed's car's looking a little bit more stable, a little bit more settled, going through the corners there. So it'll be interesting to see if Ed can do anything here.
Yeah, and Foster's been one of the more consistent drivers today. He's just, while not having the fastest car in the field, and he probably rarely does, but his racecraft is probably one of the best, if not the best. And he just needs to just consolidate the points now. And if he can catch him past Pearson, which he's threatening to do at the moment, he's got better car speed than what Pearson does at this point in the race. So this is all about damage mitigation for Foster now. He just needs to try and creep up towards that top 5, top 4, get as many points as he can to try and consolidate that first place in the standings, particularly with Skurlock leading the way.
Absolutely, and he'll be seeing Micklemore right behind him now. So Foster's going to be thinking he's got to find a way around Pearson. He doesn't want Micklemore to buy into this and try to make a move on both of them.
Yeah, but Micklemore's, that's not for position. Micklemore is one lap behind Pearson and Foster, so it could even work to Foster's advantage if he lets Micklemore through and try and follow Micklemore if Micklemore can make a move on Pearson.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, look, my bad there. I thought Micklemore was racing for position, but you're right. He is a lap down. So yeah, this is going to be interesting because Micklemore does look like he's got some pace now.
Yeah, that's the thing with his car. He seems to have early stint pace, but then it's going to be later in the stint where his car just falls off, and there we go. Foster's letting Micklemore through. See, Foster recognises Micklemore's driving the car much harder than Foster is. So Foster will try and tuck him behind Micklemore to see if he can use Micklemore to get past Pearson. Although Micklemore's just gone now, Foster has just continued to coax the car. So Micklemore has been able to get past Pearson, and Foster's he hasn't been able to take advantage.
No, and interestingly enough, Hardigan looks like he's found a little bit of pace there. 23.8 the last lap. So maybe he's looking for Hardigan to team up with him and try to run together here.
Yeah, potentially. I don't think you can necessarily get much of an advantage running together around Dover. The speeds just don't seem to quite get high enough, and you seem to hurt yourself cornering wise instead of being able to gain much time. But what running together as teammates does do is that it helps you defend from cars behind. If you can run 2 or 3 team cars in a row, that makes it so difficult for cars behind to make an overtake, and that's why Micklemore and Martin were in such a good place earlier in the race. But when Micklemore dropped away, that's what's really hurt Martin's chances at a race win.
Yeah, and if we drop down here, watching Mirko Dortnack on Lachlan Urquio. Lachlan's done a great job. He's in ninth, and like you said, he's done it all on his own pace. So yeah, great run tonight by Lockie.
Yeah, it's one thing he prides himself on being able to do quite well on the short tracks. It's those 1.5 oval tracks that he's really got to, and the speedways too. He's really got to learn how to drive the cars quick and while saving the tyres around there. And if he can do that, then he'll be able to, and perhaps in the next season of the ANZCAR Cup Series sponsored by Abruzzi, that could be his chance at being a playoff driver.
Yeah, I mean, this is his first full season in the driving the Cup cars, and he's definitely come a long way. So yeah, he's still got a little bit to learn, and I think as he progresses, he's really going to become a force.
Yeah, I'm just looking, as we're now on lap 171, lap 172. It looks like James Robbie is now starting to put the pressure on Ed Foster as well. So it's Pearson, Foster, Robbie, 5th, 6th and 7th, all very close to one another. And I reckon Robbie will be eager to try and get past Foster.
I don't know if Robbie just tagged the wall there, or if he managed to get away from it. But he's fallen down a little bit, but he's coming back at Foster now.
Oh no, he did. He definitely hit the wall. He drifted a bit wide exiting, so that's going to hurt his car. He's closed up to Foster again, but those knocks can really hurt your car in a long run, and as that'll wear your tyres out a lot faster. And once you start doing that, that could see him fall into the clutches of JCW.
Yeah, and we've seen it so many times in so many races. Foster Foster runs his own plan, and really has the discipline to let the guys go past and then pick them off one by one as his tyres are much fresher than theirs come the end of the race.
Yeah, and such is Foster's lines through these corners that it opens the door invitation for cars behind to make that move, which is what Robbie is doing at the moment. It's running side by side for a few corners now, so Robbie's not quite got that consistency that Foster has. Foster will be getting annoyed at this. He wants Robbie to just get by, but Robbie just can't quite get that. He doesn't quite have the throttle control that the front running guys have, and so it takes Robbie a lot longer to make the overtake than what it would have done for Foster.
Yep, and what this has done is it's basically held Foster up because it's held him up on the high side, and it's really given a bit of a free kick to Neil Pearson here.
Yeah, exactly right. That's given Pearson a 1 second lead that these guys should be able to close back up, but it's not something you want when you're trying to conserve your tyres.
And we can see now that Michael Skurlock is just started to eke away from Hamish Gallagher. He's got that lead out to 4.3 seconds again. Last lap for Michael Skurlock was a 23.9, whereas Hamish Gallagher was a 24 flat with a 23.9 by Jason Martin.
Yeah, and that's what that saving that tyres at the start of that stint was all about. Was we saw it drop to under 3 seconds, but that is just due to Skurlock being much easier on the car, which is going to start paying dividends further down, because of course Skurlock pitted a couple of laps after Jason Martin did, so he's got fresher tyres and he's been able to run the car much easier. So barring any more incidents, it could be Skurlock winning the race.
Yeah, it's looking rather promising at the moment, but still got a fair bit of racing to go. And once again, this, with these last few laps to go, this is where some of the guys start to pull out all the stops, so to speak, and really start to go 10/10, and things can get unstuck for them.
Yeah, and Robbie's now that he's cleared Foster, he's now closed right up to Pearson. He's looking very racy. They're still got just under 20 laps to go. They're on lap 182, lap 183. So that's what's allowing. Oh my! James Robbie has almost got cleaned up by Tristan Koch exiting turn 4. Robbie was looking to make a move for 5th place on Pearson, but
Something's happened with Robbie.
pushed his way through, and
he slowed right down.
Yeah, he must have hit that wall again. In fact, I did miss that last bit. I saw Robbie he moved out wide because Koch forced the issue. He's hit the wall again. That's the same spot he did a few laps ago. He must have got a meatball flag from that, which is why he's had to come into the pits. So that is very unfortunate for James Robbie, and that's probably what you get for being way too courteous to other drivers. Sometimes you just got to place the car where the car behind you says, well, you can force the issue, and if you spin, it takes both of us out. But if I give you the spot, it's just only going to take me out.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for Robbie, but Koch had been into the pits the lap before, or a few laps before, and was on much fresher tyres. So that's I guess that's how racing is sometimes.
Yeah, but sometimes you've got to you always got to think, if you always have to say to the cars behind that, yes, you're faster, but if you're going to be faster, you've got to do it around the outside, because I'm not going to compromise my race line when I'm racing for position, especially when it's 5th place.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when you're in that top 5. Everybody else, for them, it's all about diminishing returns. So, yeah, you're kind of right there. I mean, I think James Robbie was his own worst enemy there.
Yeah, he's cost himself 10 places, which is a lot of points. I mean, yeah, it might only be about 11 points, but that's a lot of points. to give up just by a simple mistake.
Absolutely, and we've got 12 laps to go, and Jason Martin is gaining on Hamish Gallagher here. Last lap for Jason Martin was a 24.15. Hamish Gallagher 24.3. So this is going to be really interesting. This race for second.
Yeah, and that's going to be as a cost of Gallagher spending those petrol tickets early at the start of this final stint. When the pace car first pulled in, Gallagher pushed so hard to try and close the gap to Skurlock. He closed it into within, I think it was within 2 or 3 seconds it got to, but just pushing that hard that early, way too quick, is all it's taken now. He's burnt the tyres off, and Martin has got the massive advantage at the moment.
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, he's now down to about just over 0.2 of a second, and there's not much that Gallagher's going to be able to do. I think it's pretty much over and out for him.
Yeah, but there's a bit of a gap back between Martin and Danny G. Gallagher's just got to hope he's got enough laps under the belt to where Danny G can't quite catch him.
Yeah, and this is a smart move by Gallagher. Rather than holding both of them up and trying to hold Jason Martin out, he's taken the high line, let Jason Martin go, and he's hoping, like you said, that they've got enough laps that he can hold Danny G off.
Yeah, but Danny G's closing rapidly. I think either the last lap or last 2 laps, Danny G's closed by half a second. Of course, that's induced by Gallagher running wide to let Martin through.
Now that the laps are stabilised, last lap for Hamish Gallagher 22, call it a 24.3, Danny G at 24.1. So yeah, I mean, I think Hamish Gallagher is going to be holding on here, holding on for dear life.
Looks like Robbie's back into the pit, so he must have smacked the wall again. And he's going to be back in for more repairs.
Yeah, that's a real shame.
That's all it takes. It's just a simple mistake.
Yeah, Danny G's going to know 5 laps to go. He knows he's faster than Gallagher. He wants to stay. He wants to make points on Foster. What do? Do you hold station and take 3rd place, or do you go for broke and see if you can close that gap between yourself and Hamish Gallagher? Sorry, 4th place, or do you try to get on the podium with your teammate?
Well, it's just a wait and see thing. I guess you don't want to. One thing you don't want to do, especially when you're in playoff contention, you don't want to anger other playoff drivers. You don't want to force any moves that could result in revenge being taken in the next round, which can hurt your placing. So, unless there's a real opening for Danny G, it's probably better to hold 4th place. He's got 6 places or 7 places on Micklemore at the moment. So for Danny G, he's half a chance to sneak into 3rd place at the end of tonight's running, or if not, he'll be very close to 3rd.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 6 points between 3rd and 4th between Micklemore and Danny G, so it's almost enough difference to give Danny G that 3rd place in the standings.
Yeah, 100%. And we're almost down to that last lap, and it is the final lap, the 1 lap to go by hybrid racing simulations. So play the smart game, take that 4th place, don't do anything silly.
Yeah. And we see now Skurlock is now coming around turn 4. And that's Skurlock. He played the strategy game perfectly, and he wins at Dover 2nd time round.
Yeah, absolutely. He called it absolutely perfectly, and well deserved win. Absolutely brilliant.
And I don't know if that was a victory drift or a frustration drift for Martin, who led so much of that race only to be foiled by a pace car.
Yeah, it's certainly disappointing, but yeah, great win by Michael Skurlock. And as I said before, you can never count Michael Skurlock out. You know, he looks sometimes, you know, he might be a little bit slow, but you know, when it counts, he puts the pressure on, and yeah, he also knows how to work the strategy.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Hardigan is being able to recover quite well that race. He fell back to 24th place after that early incident, and just by driving around, albeit with a damaged car, he's got himself 12th place at the finish, and only just missed out on passing Micklemore for 11th.
Fantastic. Well, let's go through the race results here. Your race winner, Michael Skurlock. Jason Martin in second, Hamish Gallagher in third, able to hold off Danny G in fourth, Neil Pearson in fifth, Ed Foster in sixth, picking up more vital points for his championship and going into the playoff. JCW finishes seventh, Mirko Dortnack in eighth, Lachlan Nurquio in ninth, Josh Micklemore in 10th, Jason Hardigan, like you said, 11th place, Steve Williams in 12th, Norman Clark in 13th, Phil Otto in 14th, Raymond Yeager in 15th. 16th, we've got Adam Roswell. 17th, Brenton Bartlett. 18th, Darren Brumfield. 19th, Tristan Koch. James Roby, unfortunately, there, falling victim to the wall a couple of times there in 20th place. And then 20th through to 29th, we've got Matt Hunter, Riley Curtis, Bradley Allison, Devon Stove in 24th, Aidan Schultz in 25th, Billy Hickey in 26th, who retired, and Greg Harris in 27th, Kyle Sloggett, and Mick Wilson being your non-starters, I think.
Yeah, all three did not start the race. A bit of shame for Kyle Sloggett, probably most of all out of those three, who had speed to finish top 5 tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just the like we always say. That's just the fortunes of motor racing. He had the pace, but it just didn't come to him when it counted.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to do the honours, Jake, I'll bring down our third place getter for the evening. And here we have Hamish Gallagher, third place. Congratulations, mate.
Oh, hi JP, how you doing?
Not bad at all. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty chuffed on the total fluke, but I'll take him. You can get him, you know.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
mate.
Well, that was a brilliant strategy call for both yourself and Michael Skurlock, that you guys were able to stay out when most of those front runners were pit, and you just got that pace car when you needed it, and that was the perfect way to get yourself into a podium place.
Yeah, absolutely, because I got trapped a lap down on that first caution, so I was just racing for the lucky dog that whole second stint. But Jason caught the back of the lead lap cars anyway, so I lost it. So I figured, the only way I'm going to get back on the lead lap is stay out and hope for a caution, and that's what happened. So just rolled perfectly for me.
So that damage you got on that right rear, was that self-induced?
Oh no, I don't. I think I spun entering the pit lane because my rear tyres are so worn I couldn't get it slowed down. So I think I hit the pit lane. That's made a little bit of damage. The damage wasn't a big concern. It was really just because I got trapped a lap down. That was really my only really issue.
Yeah, well, I was very surprised. I saw you come out of the pits and it looked like your mechanics had just done a great work panel beating that rear spoiler to get it flat enough where it didn't seem to affect you for that final stint.
Yeah, the car got a lot easier to drive over the run. That first stint, that was out of control the entire time. I don't know how those guys at the front were as fast as they were. I was just holding on the entire time, but got a bit of cloud cover going later in the race, and it got a bit easier to drive from that point on.
So good, JP. You got any questions you want to ask Hamish?
No, Hamish, like I said, congratulations, mate. Third place, well-deserved win. We saw you took off there on the restart, and I thought, oh, has he maybe gone a bit too hard, a bit too early? But mate, you managed to hold on for third. Well done.
Yeah, I wasn't going to fight Jason at the end. I felt a bit guilty, to be honest. I was going to hold him up. He kind of deserved the win. He was so fast. But yeah, so I'll take third.
Fantastic, mate. Any shout-outs you'd like to send before we let you go?
Mate, I'll give a shout out to old Carl. I understand his computer's broken, so I hope he gets it up and running again. So he's back here in the combox.
Yeah, so he can at least one of us can make sense.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a long night for you guys. This oval racing stuff.
Yeah, there were no turns the other direction. I had to figure it out quickly, but no, fantastic racing, mate. Well done.
Cheers. Thanks, JP.
Take care. All right, that was our third place winner, Hamish Gallagher. Let's bring down Jason Martin. Jason, P2 tonight. Congratulations, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for that.
I know it probably wasn't what you were hoping for. You really had control of the race early on, but Michael Skurlock just managed to make that right call.
Oh, yeah, I don't have much luck at the moment, either getting wrecked or just bad times for yellows. And yeah, that yellow came out at the worst possible time for me and all my teammates.
Yeah, I was a bit curious there with all three of you guys seemed to pit at the exact same time. Was there any discussions between you guys as to maybe having one of you guys just stay out long to the end of the fuel load and just see if you could maybe fluke maybe or what happened tonight with the pace car coming out?
Yeah, we probably should have, but if the pace car didn't come out, you would have been screwed on a long run. So you really had to pit then. Otherwise, if there was no yellow, you're going to go down further than that. So, yeah, I think we made the right call, just unlucky.
Yeah, it's a bit tough to see. It was tough to see Micklemore's car pace drop away, but when Danny G seemed to start catching you up in that second stint, was there any discussions whether to let Danny G through just to get some bonus points under his belt?
If he caught up to me, yeah, I would have let him by, but not for bonus points or anything, just because he seemed pretty good on tyres, and I had a bit of damage from when I smashed the wall one time, so I was down a little bit on speed. So if he caught me, I would have let him by.
Yeah, JP, you got any other questions for Jason?
No, but yeah, look, I mean, I guess the one thing you can take away from all of this, Jason, is you guys have got the pace at the right time of the series, going into the chase, going into the playoffs. So you can, I guess, take heart that yeah, I'm sure there are good things to come for you guys.
Yeah, let's hope so. Hopefully we get a bit more luck with the yellows and that. But yeah, should be good. Looking forward to the chase.
I'll talk to the guys for you, mate.
Anything will help.
Any shout outs you'd like to send out before we let you go?
Yeah, got to thank the boys at Mitch Motorsports, ANZCAR for the league, BK Designs for our lovely paints, yeah, JP Simshed for the broadcast. I know quite a few people who like to watch it, so yeah, thanks for that.
It's always a pleasure broadcasting these races with the kind of racing that you guys turn on for us.
Spread out a bit more than normal, but hopefully it was still entertaining elsewhere in the race for you.
Well, it kept me busy looking for battles, but I was able to find them.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, mate. Well, congratulations once again.
Yep, cheers, guys. See ya.
All right, that was our P2 winner, Jason Martin. Let me go through the names here, and I'll find Michael Skurlock, and we'll bring him down. Michael Skurlock, our race winner for Dover, mate. Congratulations. Your strategy call was pretty much on point tonight.
Yeah, thanks, JP. Yeah, it was that's what it was, mate. It was a bit of luck and strategy. I'll say strategy just to sound better than what I am, but really it was just luck, mate. held on to those last set of tyres before the last pit stop just for a lot longer, made sure I wasn't pushing them, and it actually, worked. It feels good when you actually do something to plan and it actually pays off, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. We were actually commenting about it just before you pitted, saying, look, Michael Skurlock right about now will be really hoping for a safety car and almost on cue, like one of us had hit the button, out it came.
Yeah, well, I mean, I caused the first one, which is, I never feel good about that, but I literally, that's the first time since iRacing that I've actually blown a right rear. So like there was nothing on there. Like, I mean, on the sim it probably looks like there was something on there, but I couldn't even turn into the corners and roll. Like I was just on rolling speed, and the thing was just looping on me. So I couldn't get back under speed. So I just had to sit there and wait for the yellow to come out just so I could drive away.
Wow. Okay, so it was a blowout.
Yeah, I got 0% on the right rear when I went in the pits.
Okay, fair enough. Jake, anything you'd like to add, mate?
Well, it's just amazing. Yeah, testament to never give up when your race starts going pear shaped. I mean, that spin at the 70 lap mark is you can always just look back in the review and say, oh, that doesn't matter now. Got a race win under my belt.
Yeah, well, I was lucky that I was still on the lead lap when I did it. I mean, unfortunate for the people that just pitted because it was pitting time and I was trying to get down to pit, and that was the reason why it sort of spun on me. But it's definitely I had to change the way I drove the car from the first stop just so that didn't happen again. So I was trying to be a lot lighter on the rears. It's hard, man. That track is different to all the other ones. Like it's dynamic. You got to constantly change the way you're doing everything.
So yeah, and do you fancy your chances at Daytona next week to try and steal that number one position off of Ed Foster?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's a crapshoot. It's not my favourite type of racing. I've won it before, but I get a bit claustrophobic. Like when everyone's stuck together like that, like stag beetles in a row, it kind of you get a bit freaked out, man. Like I find it so hard to hold on to the wheel. Some people love it, and I swear they're the sociopaths of the world. But I can't seem to. I just hate it. The whole time I'm out there, I'm hating it. But I'll do it. I'll give it my best shot.
Absolutely sure you will, mate. Any shout-outs before we let you go?
Yeah, just Pay Syndicate, Blip Clothing, BLIP Clothing. I feel like I have to spell that out because it sounds weird to say Blip for some reason. Worm Paints. It's one of the main iRacing paint dudes. And Racewire, which is the thing posted on the car there. And yeah, just everyone, all the competitors out there. It was a good race, and I'm sorry for bringing out the yellow there, but we did well for, I think there was only 2 cautions that whole race, so that's good around there. And I think the cars were loose tonight, so everyone did well.
No, mate, well done, and congratulations once again.
Yeah, and thanks for you boys, of course, for doing this for us, giving us something to watch. We'll go kick back now and have a little look.
No, always like I say, always a pleasure with the kind of racing that you guys turn on for us.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks, guys.
All right, take care. Well, there we go, Jake. Another week of the ANZCAR Abruzzi Cup done. Another Wednesday night done. Next week we're on to Daytona for the last round before the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's going to be an intriguing battle, that Daytona race. The Daytona 500 early in the year threw up a surprise result, and just wondering if we're going to get another surprise result next week.
Yeah, that track always has surprises. You can never really pick it over there, but there are some strong drivers going into Daytona. So yeah, look, it's anyone's guess as to who ends up on the top spot for next week. But I guess while we're here, we should thank our sponsors for the event. These guys make it possible for us to run these events and to broadcast these events. Abruzzi Australia, Virtual Motorsport Mentor, Hybrid Racing Simulations, Track Cams for Gourmets, who always deliver these fantastic camera angles for us. iLiveries with their great paints and great work. And of course, with the Simshed Broadcasting on Monday nights, we're going to have the Club Day Masters, the MX5 races. Of course, Tuesday nights, the Nationwide Tracking Systems V8 Evolution Championship. Next week, we're on to Imola, and then Wednesday nights, we replay the Split 2 race from Tuesday night, and of course, always on the Thursday, the ANZCAR Abruzzi Cup. Anything you'd like to add, Jake?
Not much really, except that I'm just pleased to be able to help out with the broadcast again. Hopefully Carl can get a PC going up and going so that he can join the broadcast next week. Thank you JP for producing his streams. The streams wouldn't be here without you, so you always do a good job picking the right camera angles, and even tonight, the last couple of weeks with the commentary, we're lucky to have you in the broadcast team.
Oh, look, thanks very much. But look, at the end of the day, thank you for joining us. Thank you for helping me out and lending your knowledge to oval racing, because if it was up to me and only up to me, I think people wouldn't have a clue what I was talking about. But thanks very much for joining us, Jake. Always a pleasure having you with us. And thank you to everybody who joined us tonight, watched. Hope you enjoyed the racing, and look forward to bringing it all to you again next week.